Today about multiple sclerosis. This sounds little different from your regular class. So what is multiple sclerosis? Multiple sclerosis, this is the most common immune mediated inflammatory demyelinating disease of the central nervous system. There will be so much amount of inflammation, and there also will be demyelination. So this is characterized pathologically by there will be multiple focal areas of demyelination. There will be loss of oligodendrocytes, astrocytes proliferate and they lead to scarring. So there will be astroglial scarring. And the prominent pathological feature is axonal injury, which is seen in the later stages of the disease. And there are certain clinical features which are typical of multiple sclerosis. This disease has got a highly variable pace, and this has got many atypical forms. So multiple sclerosis, it is an autoimmune disease of the central nervous system. It is characterized by chronic inflammation, demyelination and gliosis. There will be so much of inflammation. There will be many B cells, B lymphocytes as well as T lymphocytes, and these leads to demyelination, and there will be gliosis. There will be astroglial proliferation, and this leads to scarring, and ultimately there will be neuronal loss. In the course of this disease, it is either a relapsing disease or it is a progressive disease. And the plaques of these multiple sclerosis, they typically develop at different times and in different CNS locations. Multiple sclerosis is said to be disseminated in time and space. So what is dissemination in time? What is dissemination in space? I will be discussing in the last part. And many individuals worldwide are affected, and the clinical course is extremely variable. So I already have said that it is either a relapsing disease or it could be a progressive disease, and this leads to incapacitating disease requiring profound lifestyle adjustments. So multiple sclerosis, the prevalence is approximately 120 per 1 lakh population, and this disease, it is higher in the northern Europeans, and this is more common in females compared to males. This disease is twice common in females compared to females. And pathophysiology of multiple sclerosis. So both genetic factors as well as environmental factors, they play a causative role in multiple sclerosis. So this disease, the prevalence of this disease is more in the temperate regions, temperate zones. So this indicates that environmental exposure, it is important for the during the growth and development or important in this disease. So vitamin D deficiency as well as exposure to certain viruses such as Epstein-Barr virus cause this disease, and genetic factors are also important, and familial occurrences more, that is in first degree relatives it has got the 15% familial occurrence. So genetic factors and environmental factors. Environmental factors like vitamin D deficiency as well as exposure to Epstein-Barr virus leads to this disease, as well as genetic factors, and the risk is highest in first degree relatives. So what is the pathophysiology? So initially there will be perivenular cuffing of the activated T lymphocytes. Perivenular cuffing of activated T lymphocytes. So these T lymphocytes, they recognize the myelin antigens on the surface of the nervous system antigen presenting cells. Perivenular cuffing by activated T lymphocytes. So these T lymphocytes, they enter the white matter, and these T lymphocytes, they also cross the blood brain barrier. So there will be disruption of the blood brain barrier, And these T lymphocytes, they attack the myelin derived antigens on the antigen presenting cells. So there will be more amount of inflammation. Cytokines will be released, and so these cytokines, they initiate the destruction of the oligodendrocyte myelin unit by macrophages. So initially there will be perivenular T lymphocyte inflammation. So these T lymphocytes, they enter the white matter. After entering the white matter, they also cross the blood brain barrier. There will be disruption of the blood brain barrier. After this, due to increased amount of inflammation, there will be cytokine release, and so these cytokines, they go and act on the oligodendrocyte myelin unit. So there will be destruction of the oligodendrocyte myelin unit by macrophages. And histologically, the lesion will be it is a block of inflammation as well as demyelination. So what are the locations where this inflammatory demyelination is common? So this is most common in the periventricular regions of the brain, as well as in the optic nerves and the subpial regions of the spinal cord. So where is this inflammation common? More in the periventricular regions of the brain, the optic nerves, and in the subpial regions. So this inflammation, it begins as a circumscribed area of disintegration of the myelin sheath, and accompanied by activated lymphocytes and macrophages, and there will be conspicuous perivascular inflammation after the acute attack. Gliosis follows. This leaves a shrunken scar. So activated T lymphocytes, they infiltrate the white matter. There will be disruption of the blood brain barrier, and these lymphocytes recognize the myelin derived antigen on central nervous system, and this inflammation leads to destruction of the oligodendrocyte myelin unit, and histologically there will be a inflammatory demyelination. This is most common in the periventricular regions of the brain, the optic nerves, and the subpial regions of the spinal cord. So demyelination, this is the pathological hallmark, and evidence of myelin degeneration is found at the earliest time points of tissue injury. So the pathological hallmark is a demyelination, and there will be myelin degeneration at the earliest time points of tissue injury, and later in the disease course there will be axonal disruption also. So initially demyelination will be present, later axonal injury will be present, and later neuronal loss will be present. So what are the consequences of these demyelination? So this demyelination, what happens when demyelination is present? This results in reduced trophic support for the axons. Okay, and there will be redistribution of the ion channels. All the sodium channels and all will be redistributed, and there will be so this leads to destabilization of the action membrane potentials. So this demyelination, it results in trophic support for the axons. There will be redistribution of the ion channels, and action membrane potentials will be destabilized. So initially axons can adapt to these injury, but later axons cannot adapt and they undergo distal and retrograde degeneration. So the dying back axonopathy occurs. So promoting remyelination, it is an important therapeutic goal in multiple sclerosis. So initially, how does it present? Acute clinical deficit will be present in the form of disruption of the transmission of the nervous impulse. So initially there will be disruption on the transmission of the nervous impulse because of these inflammatory cytokines. So these initially inflammatory cytokines, they go and act on myelin. So there will be disruption in the transmission of the nervous impulse rather than structural disruption. So initially inflammatory cytokines go and act on myelin, and there will be disruption of the transmission of the nervous impulse. because there is no structural disruption. So this initial disruption in the transmission of the nervous impulse, it benefits with steroids in the acute stages. In the long term, what happens is there will be myelin destruction, and so this myelin destruction leads to complete conduction block, and this leads to complete conduction block, contributing to sustained impairment of CNS functions. Initially, there will be disruption of transmission of the nervous impulse, and in the later stages, there will be complete conduction block, and this leads to impairment of the central nervous system functions. And certain inflammatory mediators like nitric oxide, they are generally released in the later stages of the disease, and these nitric oxide released in the later stages of the disease, they lead to axonal damage. So in established multiple sclerosis, there is progressive axonal loss. After progressive axonal loss, and there also will be loss of neurotropic factors from oligodendrocytes, and this axonal loss this leads to progressive and persistent disability. So here in this diagram, in this picture, you can see the you can see the venule there, and perivascular cuffing by lymphocytes is present, and other cells such as macrophages and B lymphocytes is seen. And here in this, you can see multiple areas of demyelination. See, those arrows indicate multiple areas of demyelination. So in this diagram, in diagram A, the arrow pointing A, where you can see, so what you can see in that A, it's an gadolinium enhancement in multiple sclerosis. So A shows it is as active inflammation, and B shows no signal, it is suggesting gliosis. A active inflammation and B suggesting gliosis. And so these are the diagrams showing demyelination. So demyelination, it is represented in the form of increased uptake in those areas in gadolinium contrast. And see here, initially axons and myelin sheath is present, but later myelin sheath is being disrupted, and afterwards there is some amount of demyelination, some amount of remyelination, and this is leading to different structure of the axons.